You know, like you may have buyers there. But as far as, you know, finding sellers, you're not going to find sellers in investor groups.
Right.
And so like you really just need to start joining groups that these people are going to be in. You know, one of the ones that, like, we're a part of a cat lover group. Like, and if you know real estate, like there's probably a pretty good chance that if you're a part of a cat loving group, like you may have a house full of cats that you want to sell. So
yeah. So I can't see anybody's face. All I can see is mine. What's up, Eric? No, you're muted.
I'm here.
All right.
Everyone's at home in the rain, so they don't want to show their pretty faces today. I know. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
All right, he's hopping on right now. Okay.
What I missed, Paul? I missed something?
Nothing yet. Just me starting to panic a little bit in front of the camera. I wasn't sure. I thought, if Justin doesn't get on this thing, what am I going to do next? I'll start practicing some of my old hip hop dance moves.
There you go. I'll join you.
Yeah. There was just a little moment there where I was just like, oh, Justin, tell me that you're not going to do this to me. Anyway, he's getting on right now.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask him a few questions. He told me that he had to get off by about 11:10. So I got him for about 20 or 30 minutes. So just to prep everybody, there's a couple of questions. I've read a book called The Tools of the Titans. And there's a few questions that they ask that are really, really good from some of the guest contributors of their book. So you're going to hear me ask him a few of those questions. There's about 11 of them. And if anybody wants these questions, they can get them from Justin. Are you on? Because I see you.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Boom. Cool.
Sorry. I don't know. I tried pulling you up on my laptop and it just wasn't pulling up. So I had to go grab my iPad.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to spotlight you. We're going to make you the star. Thank you for doing this. I know that you're really, really busy. And so I've been sharing with everybody how we originally met and how I basically saw you active in a lot of different Facebook group communities, basically saying, hey, you're looking for deals, you're looking for opportunities. And then I brought you one in Portland. It didn't really go anywhere. It didn't go anywhere for me and it didn't go anywhere for you, but that was how we originally met. So what you practice is what you preach because you're doing it day in and day out. And so I think the group can really, really benefit from it. But before I get into it, there's just a few questions that I wanted to ask you that I like to start these interviews out with. And I sent them to you. I hope you don't mind if we go through them. Is that cool?
Yeah, no, that's great.
All right, cool. All right. So what are 1, 2, 3 books that you have given out to clients, friends, family that may have influenced your life?
So that one, like that's an easy one. So the first one is The Power of One More. So I don't know if you guys have heard of that one. It's by Ed Milet. The second one is actually this one right here. So As a Man Thinketh. So I read from that book at least once a day, if not twice. Just something in the morning. It's a short book. It's like 35 pages is all. So that's one that's been super influential in my life. Just goes over a lot about like mindset and just really unlocking your full potential. And then the last one, at least I think that I sent you, was the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. I know there's a lot of people that have a love-hate relationship with Grant. You either like him or you don't. But the 10X Rule is definitely one that has helped me to like really take my goals and realize that they're not big enough. So, really just being able to shoot for the freaking stars, man. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And, just being all in.
Absolutely. Cool. All right. So what purchase of $100 or less has positively impacted your life over the last 6 months?
Over the last 6 months, so I have 2 kids, and like honestly, if I can, they're the reason like I do what I do, and so if I can like, if it's just something as small as a toy, like we just had Christmas, right? And so, just like seeing their joy from a toy that may cost $20, may cost $50, like that's honestly like a good reminder to me of like why I do what I do. Excuse me.
No problem.
I thought I was going to sneeze there, but yeah, I mean that to me, I mean, you can buy the books, you can buy, the events, whatever it is that, maybe a good investment, and they are, but I think if it's something that relates to what your why is like that, there's nothing that can beat that.
Cool. Good answer. All right. Any apparent failure or what other people might perceive as a failure or you've defined as a failure that has impacted your business or helped you out?
Yeah. Gosh, I mean, there's so many failures to really think about. I mean, you always have deals that don't go the way that you originally plan on, but like it really just comes down to like how you take those and like how you roll with them. I mean, thinking of failures, like there was a deal last summer that we lost that was probably a 6-figure deal. And it was just because it was something that we hadn't experienced before. Like it was a 24 unit apartment complex and I had never done anything that big. And I mean, looking back on it, you think about, oh man, we could have made so much money on that deal. But then taking it as a learning experience. Like I really do believe like there is no such thing as failures as long as you have a good mindset, and you're actively paying attention to what those failures are, taking with them, rolling with the punches, learning from them so that you can just capitalize on it next time.
For sure. Absolutely. Okay, cool. I know you saw this one. If you had a massive billboard anywhere in the world, what would it say and why?
Gosh, I can't remember what my answer was in the questions that you sent me. But I probably along the lines of like, you're limitless. Like you get like, if my name was attached to a billboard, something like live limitless, like get all of those limitations, limiting beliefs out of your head and like really just realize that you can live life on your own terms. Like you don't have to, do it the traditional route that, we're taught in schools or wherever it may be. Like if you want to do something, like just do it. Like even if it doesn't make sense, like if you really do believe that you can make something happen, go for it. Like if you don't, you're going to be stuck in those what ifs. And so there was a billboard attached to my name. It say something along the lines of live limitless, live a limitless life or something along those lines.
Cool. All right. Unusual habit or absurd thing that you really, really love?
This one was tough for me, man. Like I really don't feel like I'm that unusual person. I mean, except for like my goals. Like I share them with some people and it's like, dude, that's freaking crazy. But I have a stupid obsession with golf. Like
that's cool.
Yeah, it is, but like, it's such a frustrating thing. And it's a love-hate relationship, but that's probably what I'd have to say on that one.
Okay. What new belief or behavior do you think has improved your life over the last 5 years?
What new belief?
Or behavior or habit?
I would honestly probably say taking time for myself. Like I set an hour aside every single week. I've done this for the last couple of years, and it's scheduled. It's every Friday morning. It's every Friday morning at like 10 o'clock. I set that time from like 10 to 11 to kind of just sit. I kind of just sit. I write down, things that I'm going through, maybe things that I want to accomplish. And like, it's not like I'm going out and doing fun stuff. Like it's kind of just me, taking a minute for myself, like reflecting on how far I've come, like where I want to go. And so that's one thing that I think everybody should do at least once a week. Because I think it's super important to, really take a self inventory of where you're at in life, where you want to go, things you need to change, the habits that you need to kick. And maybe it's just as simple as like planning workouts to go to the gym. Like it can be so simple, but really just taking time for yourself.
Good. Yeah. And what I appreciate about these answers, Justin, is because I think a lot of times people don't realize how much deeper the ones who succeed in our profession are. Right. Yeah. And you're sharing that they're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. And a lot of times it's those headlines that catch people's attention. Oh, he made X dollars from Facebook, right? Those are the headlines, but the beneath the iceberg, beneath the tip, is the things that we're covering right now. What would you give? What advice would you give a college student entering the so-called real world?
So this one was tough for me. I dropped out of college after like 3 weeks. And so, but someone that's like getting into like the workforce, whether it's, real estate, like no matter what it is that you're doing, just know like there's going to be, it's not all like take wholesaling, for example, right? Everybody always sees like they see the giant checks that people are posting, the, $50, $60, $70, $80,000 checks. And, they think that they're going to go and they're going to send out a couple mailers and they're going to get all these phone calls and it's just going to happen like that. Like it's not that nothing to me is a get rich quick. If it's legal, I haven't found that like a get rich quick scheme. There's a lot of potential to make a lot of money. But I would definitely realize like it does require work, like just like anything, whether it's school. Take school, for example, if they just barely got out of school, chances are they went for 3 to 6 years, however long it took them. Like, and they couldn't just show up, sit in class and not do anything. Like they had to take some action. So just realizing that you do need to take action, and no matter what it is that you're doing, because that's where the results are.
Cool. All right. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. But before I do, Lions, is that your team or is that what talk to me about that logo?
No, just a brand.
Oh, that is a really cool brand. I was getting jealous trying to compare it to our dispodragons logo. For those that don't know, that's a G.I. Joe logo that they turned into. Yeah, it's really cool. All right. So let's talk about your business model, man. Can you walk me through it? So if assuming I know nothing, right, and I want to start getting business from Facebook groups, what do I got to do? How do I get started? Where do I find opportunities? Let's just start from ground zero. Number one, I have a Facebook account. What should I be doing?
So the one thing that I would be doing, and we're applying this strictly to like wholesaling and flipping, right?
Right.
Okay, so the first thing that I would do is go and join investor groups. So you can do this like if you're in a virtual market, if it's your own backyard, one thing that you need to be doing is getting into investor groups. So like I'm in Utah, and so I would search something like Utah real estate investors, join that and start networking with people. Like especially if you're brand new, you've never done a deal before, kind of get in there, see who you kind of vibe with, and if you don't have a huge buyers list, especially if you're starting out, this is a great place to find them. Just as simple as making some sort of post and saying, hey, I'm looking to build my buyers list, something like that. And if you're a part of the good groups, like that, I know every state has them. Because that's going to be huge. If you don't have any sort of buyers or any way to dispo a deal, doing the acquisition side is just going to be a waste of time. And so that's what I would do first. And then secondly, like I would make sure that if you are if you're going to be posting on Facebook a lot, you need to make sure that your account is an aged account. So you can't just go and create a brand new account and start making all these posts, because Facebook's going to shut you down pretty quick. We've tried that. We've tried making like second accounts for myself, my wife, and they get shut down. So making sure that your Facebook account is, how would you say it? Nurtured, I guess, like you're active on it. But if you're not, like, that's okay. Like, just start, interacting with it for, a couple months, and you should be good to go. But like really diving into things, when I was getting started in this industry, I didn't have a huge budget. Like I like most people don't, and you hear all these people that are spending, $20,000 a month on mailers, and then they're spending all this money on texting and all these different softwares. And it's like, dude, I'm just starting out. Like, there's no way that I can afford that, And so that's when I came across another investor actually that had mentioned me that he is using Facebook groups to generate seller leads. And I'm like, man, you know what? Like, I'm a part of a bunch of buy sell trade groups here in Utah. There's gotta be something, like some sort of way to generate motivated seller leads.
Sure.
And so I just threw out a post, it's something as simple like, hey, I'm looking to buy a fixer upper house. Is anybody selling? And that was, 3 years ago. And since then, like, that's been our number one way of generating leads. And we've done, since then we started in our backyard here in Utah. We expanded to Idaho. We've done deals in Ohio, North Carolina, Florida, Texas. Like, the possibilities are honestly endless. Like, if it's something that you're just wanting to do part-time, if it's something that you're wanting to, really build a big business with, like, it's a model that's super scalable and it's free. So you really can't beat it.
So I've seen a lot of people who will post stuff like that on, like, specifically the wholesale groups. And sometimes I feel like it gets a little saturated, right? Where people are just posting it. Is there any specific type of group or niche inside a city or community that you would recommend, that you can think of, that really has some more weight versus what we all think, which is, I'll just put a post on the the buy, biz, sell type of group?
Mm-hmm. So that's where I feel like there's a lot of complications, because I do see that a lot in, like, these investor groups that we're, that I'm a part of. Someone will post in an investor group like, hey, I'm looking to buy a fixer upper. And it's like, dude, everybody in this group's looking to buy a fixer upper.
Exactly.
And, like, that's not where the money is. Like, you may have buyers there. But as far as, finding sellers, you're not going to find sellers in investor groups.
Right.
And so, like, you really just need to start joining groups that these people are going to be in. One of the ones that, like, we're a part of a cat lover group. Like, and if you know real estate, like, there's probably a pretty good chance that if you're a part of a cat loving group, like, you may have a house full of cats that you want to sell. So, I really wouldn't say that there's a cap on what kind of groups you can join. Now, there are certain rules and regulations that you do have to follow. And that, like, I teach that to investors now, just because I have gone through, so all the things of getting my account shut down and, not being able to market for my business for, I think the longest we've had an account shut down was like 2 months. And it was just because, like, we weren't familiar with the regulations that Facebook has.
Sure.
And as soon as they mark your account as spam, like, it's hard to get it back up and running. So, but as far as, like, the groups to join, I really wouldn't put a cap on it. Like, some of the most successful ones that we have are, like, classified groups. So that's like your buy, sell, trade group.
Sure.
So if you search that, and then whatever city you're actively in, you're bound to find a couple. So
buy, sell, trade, yard sale.
Yep.
I'm going to try the cat ones now too.
Yeah. You never know. And so one thing that, like, we'd look for is if there's a group that has over like 2,000 people in it, it's worth joining.
Sure.
If it's under that 2,000 mark, and, like, there's probably not a whole lot of activity in there, so your time's probably just spent better elsewhere.
So when you go in there, are we going in there? I liken a Facebook group to kind of like a party, right? Where we walk in, and we're not going to walk in with the billboard immediately, right? So we walk in, we're not part of this group. Are you participating in conversations? Are you what are you doing to create that engagement so that way they trust you enough to like, well, if this guy posts something like that, he's been here for a while. He's, it's like Cheers, right? It's like, everybody wants to know you, the guy at the bar who can do this. So like how are you doing that when you get in on the group without annoying people, spamming them or pissing them off?
Yeah. So, I mean, you're going to get it regardless. Like, I mean, if anybody's ever cold called.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, if you're calling a pre-foreclosure list, how many people have gotten the same phone call that you're reaching out to them for,
Right.
So I would say there's always going to be haters. There's always going to be a little bit of pushback. There's definitely ways around it. And if you're inside these groups and like, you're just scrolling through, you're not even posting something in that group that day. If you see a chance where you can add value to somebody's life, add it.
Right.
Like it's as simple as that. So, I mean, a lot of these groups that we're a part of, there's maybe people that are looking for jobs. Like I know we've actually helped somebody find a job. Again, that had nothing to do with buying a house. But I knew of somebody, it's actually a buyer of mine. They own I can't even remember what kind of business that they own, just kind of on the side. And there was this lady inside this group. She's like, "Hey, I'm looking for a job in this area." I sent her his number and he actually hired her. So,
wow.
Like that's just something simple. Like it doesn't have to be crazy. And like you're commenting on everybody's things, just like look for, little ways that you can add value in other people's lives. And that's what builds trust. So
it feels like you're paying it forward a lot, right? Yeah. And is this something that you can actually delegate? You can have some of the admin people in your office going through, scrolling through groups. I guess my question is this the type of business model where if we had some people here at the office, 2-3 people, and their job is to just, I don't like to use the word scrape, but people understand what that means, scrape groups and just go in there and engage without being spammy. Is this the type of thing that people can do 3-4 hours a day? Or is this like, oh, I only do this an hour a day?
So like really it only takes us like, I would say an hour to 2 hours a day. It's really not something that takes up a whole lot of time. And that's one of the nice things about it. If take cold calling, for example, if you want a cold call to get deals, great, but you're going to be pounding the phones for hours on hours. But if you can find a model that really doesn't take a lot of time, like that sounds good to me. Like I'm all for that. And so, we've used VAs that we basically hand over these Facebook accounts to them. They're in charge of making the posts. If they get a motivated seller, they send it in. So it's as simple as that. I mean, you can find a good VA to do something that's this simple for a couple $100 a month. And sure. So at that point it's worth it. And it's super scalable. That's one thing. Like I think we have access to, 5-6 accounts right now that we're consistently posting out of. And
wow. And
so yeah. And like the way that we're getting these accounts is like just reaching out to family members that maybe they have a Facebook account, but they're not necessarily active on it. So like we use my sister's account, for example, like she's not active on Facebook. So I just basically told her like, hey, if we can gain access to that account and, start running these ads or these posts out of it, any lead that we close, I'll give you $500. Like
crazy.
just to incentivize them a little bit. So like that's when you really start to think like, dang, how far could I actually scale this? So, I mean, if you're wanting to scale this to where it's a business where you're in every single state and you're doing, say you're in every single state, you did one deal a month in every state, like that's a lot of money.
That's nuts.
So,
yeah. Okay. So
it's insane.
You got my wheels turning here. Okay. So let's say we got a friend or family member. They have a Facebook account. It's seasoned. It's aged. They've had it for years. They don't really do anything. They don't really post anything. It's just something that they created that they don't really use. And then they say, hey, yeah, go ahead. We can use the account. How does the handoff work? So they post something. I have my VA who's now helping me use that account to add value, right? To add value to these Facebook groups. We've been adding value. We've been contributing. posting, we've been sharing. We finally get someone that says, hey, I might be interested in doing something. I might be interested in selling. What's that handoff like from like that person to that person? Is it just like a referral, a warm referral, or they say, hey, just to let you know, I've got Justin over here. He buys houses, or like what's that like?
Like from the VA or
the account, right? Because that person is actually speaking and interacting with that other. And now if it's me, and then I'm gonna piggyback on that, because if they see that it's my account, like, are you still interacting as Justin? Because I'm afraid that if I interact, they see Paul as a shark, right?
Yeah. So we're interacting as that person.
Okay.
And so like that, but we also hand it off as soon as possible. So like if they leave a comment saying like, hey, I have a house, we'll message them and just say, hey, saw your comment on my post. Do you have a house that you're thinking about selling? And if they say yes, we just say, great. Can I have my team give you a call?
Got it.
Get the phone number, send it over, and then we call.
That's it. Boom.
So,
on. Okay.
Yeah. Like it doesn't have to be a super complicated thing.
I'm just wondering how much of the conversation, or how much of the conversation or the screening does the VA do right then and there versus the immediate handoff? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's as little as possible.
I would think so, right?
Yeah. Cause we always want to get these people on the phone ASAP.
Got it.
So we don't want to drag it out. I mean, especially when you're chatting through Messenger, not everybody's active on Messenger. They may be on, for 10 minutes a day if they check it. So, I mean,
Sure.
There are times where we do message people and it takes them a week to get back with us, and that kind of sucks. I wish there was a way around that. But it is what it is. So.
Okay. So now I've got my wholesaler hat on. We've been participating. We've been adding value. We've got a lead. We got it under contract. Let's say we got it under contract now. A lot of times we're promoting our deals on social media. Because these people are using social media, is there a chance that they're going to see that? Or are we setting them up for that possibility? Are we setting the expectation so that if they see it, have you run into that? Is that even a possibility? Because it's different.
So like anyway. So the seller, like in the seller's point of view, to be honest, like I maybe once that I run into that where, the seller's like, hey, I see that you're selling my house. Yeah. But like, so I'm a licensed agent. And so like, I do have to disclose, like I have to be very adamant, like when I'm disclosing things. And so every time that I put a house under contract, I explain to them like, hey, look, there's a chance that I may have to bring in a partner, or we may be closing under a different LLC. And like really go over the assignment process with them.
Right.
And like, the thing is like, if you're upfront about it, which I think that's one thing that I really don't like about the industry, is I feel like there's a lot of people that kind of just like, they try to skip over that part of their agreement super fast so that the seller doesn't know. But I just think like, if you bring it up right at the beginning, you're going to have a lot less pushback. Like if they were to find out.
Sure.
But utilizing like the groups, there really isn't a chance. I mean, unless it's an investor and they're just wanting to dump a property, there's a chance they might be able to see it. But if they are an investor and they're reading through your agreement and they see that you're going to be wholesaling it, they probably already understand that anyway. But if it's your typical seller, like they're not going to be a part of these investor groups.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
They're not going to be on your buyer's list. And so the chances of that happening are honestly pretty small.
Got it. Yeah. And I agree with you in terms of the disclosure. Our contract, at least ours, internally with our team, fully discloses that I'm a broker in Cali, Nevada, and Florida. So it discloses that. In our contract, it even says we will be remarketing the property. And it doesn't even say we're just remarketing it. It says it will be shared on Zillow, Facebook, and potentially the MLS. So like I have all that stuff in there so that there's no confusion later on. That's our contract. But I guess where I was going with it was, if they do see it like on Marketplace, because I use Marketplace, I'm sure you use Marketplace too, and then they see the price that we purchased it for, and then the markup. I'm more wondering about that conversation really than anything else.
That's going to be a road. So I actually don't market my property on a Marketplace.
Oh, okay.
So you actually can't in Utah. So you can't post it on any. Like you can't post an assignment on Zillow or the MLS. Like you have to own it.
Got it.
And so I've actually never run across that issue.
Okay. Are you just when you're dispoing them, are you dispoing them with your team yourself, or do you use like Investor Lift, or what do you use?
We've looked into Investor Lift, but like we've been able to build up a big buyers list. And so like we really haven't had too many issues with dispoing properties. So I have my buyers list, and then I have my VIP list. And so my VIP buyers, like they get the deal the day before anybody else does. And if there's a lot of interest in there, then I won't even send it out, just because I'd rather work with somebody that like I know is for sure going to close on the deal.
Yeah, 100%.
Versus someone else like I've never done business with. So I always give them, in each market that we're in, there's like 5 or 6 VIP buyers. And so we'll give them access to the property before everybody else, which is usually within the first 48 hours of getting it under contract. And if they want it, I mean, and at that point, it may be the difference of, hey, I'm only going to make 20 with my VIP buyer versus, maybe making 25, sending it out. I mean, depending on your situation, like to me, that it just makes sense to get
take care of your team
fast.
Yeah.
And
100%.
So, and keeping that good relationship there. And so like that's really what it is about me. Like if I'm making 20 versus 25, but I still have a relationship, like that's something that you can't beat.
Right. And then you keep them busy and you bring them another opportunity, and they,
Yeah. And at that point, dude, they love you. Like I know people that have buyers and they hate them because their buyers like, dude, you tried to freaking nickel and dime me for every penny out of this property.
Sure.
And I just really don't see the value.
Yeah. Okay. I know you got a meeting at 11, so this will be my last question. So
it actually got canceled, so I'm good.
Okay, cool. Then I'm going to open up the chat to see, so that everybody who is on here, if you guys have any questions, as I continue to ask Justin these questions, post them in the chat so that I can share them with him. So, okay, walk me through your formula right now, because I know what our formula is internally within the company. Ours is, and before I even share it, I'll let you share yours. I'll share. What the hell? So it's the ARV. We're at 60% of ARV minus repairs minus our fee. That's what we're going after right now. Are we too aggressive, or where are you right now with your formula?
So I'm at 70%. Okay. So we've always kind of followed that. The nice thing is, like, I know with where the market's at right now, it's definitely shifted. But that's one of the main reasons why I have a VIP buyers list, is because like I've taken care of these guys for so long, and now they're going to take care of me. And so like they understand, like, you know what, we're going to kick Justin another $3,000 on this deal, just because like he has been so good to us. And so like, like we have had to go back and renegotiate a few deals. But outside of that, like we're sticking with that 70%.
Okay. So you're at 70%. And what are the I know you said you're in 5 markets. What are those markets where that 70% is still applicable? So where are you right now?
So right now, Utah has been a little bit different. I would say we're still running it at 70, but it has been a little bit more tricky. So we probably do need to drop that down to like 65, 60. But one of our other markets, Idaho hasn't really changed at all. And the same with, Florida, like Florida's been pretty good for us as well. So we're kind of in that,
so you think you can get away with
70%
over in Florida right now?
Yeah. Like we have been, like we did a deal there last month where that's where we ran our numbers at. And I think the assignment fee was like $12,000 on that one.
Okay. All right. So that might make my team happy because we've been pushing 60. But I think if I'm pushing it at 60 and we can get as close to 60 as possible, it's easier for us to dispo anyway.
Yeah, 100. So, and it was a very cosmetic, like it wasn't crazy.
Oh yeah.
So it was more just like a lipstick flip. So at that point, it did make sense. But I would definitely base, like if you guys can get pictures of the property like from the seller before you really start talking numbers, I think that's just an advantage on your end. Because I mean, if it is just a lipstick, like carpet paint, I mean, you can get away with 70 in any market, you know?
Right.
But like if it's a beater and like you know that your buyer's going to be dumping a lot of money into it, like I would definitely adjust it based on that.
Okay. And most of your deals right now, are they direct? Are they direct to seller using the Facebook strategy? This is what you're doing?
Yep.
That's really cool. What
Yeah,
we've
so
been doing,
I would say like 75% of all of our deals are that way.
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And by the way, I'm gonna give you a plug so you can plug your course too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 75% of them from Facebook, man. That's amazing. All right. And then, are you, once you get them, are you putting them in a funnel? Are you doing follow-ups, emails, texts, or are you just pounding the phones and following up with them every couple of weeks, or what's
so they get put into our CRM. So we use Podio. So everybody gets, as soon as we get the phone number from them, they immediately go in there. And if we can't, like if we're not getting a hold of them, like on Messenger, then like we do have a few other strategies, like how we can get a hold of that person, whether it's adding them as a friend or whatever. So there's definitely a few other strategies to go about it. But everybody gets put into our CRM. So, and at that point, you know, we have a system where for that whole first week, they get a call every day. Okay. And if they're still not answering, you know, then we'll put them in a follow-up funnel.
Okay.
So.
All right, cool. What's the goal for this year? What are you guys looking to accomplish? How many units?
Yeah. So the goal for this year is to get up to 10 a month.
Awesome.
So that's 120.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. And how big is the team?
So the team, so right now there's 6.
Cool.
And then 2 VAs.
Super doable.
Oh, easy. Yeah. That's the thing, is like, it really can be scalable. So.
Yeah, 100%. All right. And so for you guys who want to dive in a little bit deeper, I think, you know, Justin did us a favor. I know he touched on it, and he dug in a little bit deeper, I think, because I keep pushing. I'm pushing the questions. I know I'm pushing them hard. But he does have an online course. It's super affordable for what you get for it in comparison to like what other people try to charge for information that really is readily available for free. So what's the website for that, Justin, if they wanna get that course?
So I'll do you want to just go ahead and
I can put it in the chat.
Let me grab it and I'll send it to you.
Yeah. And so you guys, you're more than welcome to purchase it, support him to help your business, and in response to him taking his time out of his day to do this for us, to share all this stuff. Because there's some nuggets here that if we implement into our business, you know, you guys are going to be able to walk away with some deals. I 100% believe that. And if you guys
just to kind of go along with that, too, like I do charge for the program. But realistically, my biggest goal is to build relationships to where we're doing JV deals together. Like, especially if you're just starting out, you know, I'd love to help you guys get your first deal. And so the fee that I do charge is just kind of skin in the game to know that, like, you know what, we can work together, and like you are dedicated to this. And if you guys do like have any other additional questions for me, like I'm always down to hop on a call with you guys to answer any additional questions. So
cool. In addition to that, one more time, let's go over those markets, because if you've got VIP buyers in those markets, if we've got the opportunities, we can bring them to you and we can JV them together, and we can close this with you and your buyers. Yeah. Is that something you'd be open to? Yeah, 100%.
For sure.
So, I mean, the beauty about this business is that if Justin already has buyers in these markets, you guys, I think that's we touched on it just briefly, but I don't know if you guys really understood the value in what he just shared, because what that basically means is that if you find an opportunity in those markets, then we can just call Justin and say, hey, is your VIP buyer still buying? We have an opportunity. We got it under contract. We JV it and everybody wins.
Yeah.
So we've got Utah. We have
Utah, all of Utah, all of Idaho, Dayton, Ohio. That's we kind of dipped into Columbus, but I'm really liking Dayton right now. Fayetteville, North Carolina, up to Raleigh,
Okay.
and then Florida. So we're in Florida. Like we've done deals in Tampa. I would say that's kind of our primary area, is that Tampa Bay area.
Tampa's still hot. Yeah.
Yep. And then
hot.
over into Fort Lauderdale area.
I love Florida, man. I just love that market. I mean, we can get into deals there for $500. Here in California, you need 3%. You need 3%. 3% of a $500,000 home. I mean, you're talking about a 15K EMD all day long here, and it's crazy. It's just crazy.
California that's a market that I have not really had much interest in trying out, just because I know it's so different.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Well, listen, buddy, I appreciate you doing this for us. This is the last call for any questions before we close this out. Eric, you got anything?
Yeah. What's up, Justin? This is Eric. How are you,
man?
Good, dude. Hey, well, first of all, let me tell you that it's pretty inspiring to hear somebody that, has found true success with a certain method. There's a ton of methods in wholesale, right? And how to get this job done at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But when something works for somebody, it's almost like, it's like when you go to the beach and you take a handful of breadcrumbs and you throw it out there and all the pigeons just flock to it. Everyone really wants to know what's the true way of doing it. So congrats, man. It sounds like you're doing a killer job and you're doing great. I guess a few questions for me would be like, number one, internally as a team, how important is you developing your team, right? So you said you have 6 members of your squad. You have 2 VAs. Tell me a little bit about how often you jump on the phone with them, or are these guys like, I don't know if you guys are working virtual, if you guys have an office or something, but how often are you putting in the time to connect with your team members and getting them to a certain level of expertise that you're requiring?
Yeah, so it's daily. So I mean, like, if you're working together, there's got to be a good relationship there. And so like everybody that I work with, like it's more so, on a friendship basis. And so like we're always communicating, like, and I wouldn't say that I definitely have every single part of this business figured out. Like, I don't think anybody ever will. But then just like staying focused. So like, I think one of the biggest challenges in this industry is people think that it's going to work the first time. They think they're going to send out, one group of texts, or whether it's mailers, whatever it is, and they think they're going to make all this money. And the fact is, like, it's just not it. So one thing that I really pound into my guys is just like, you have to stay consistent. Okay. Like it's a consistency game. Like anybody can tell you, like, it's going to be a numbers game, but you can't have numbers. Like, you don't have numbers without consistency. Yes. So that's one thing that I would definitely preach to people all day. If you have a crappy week and nothing happens, like everybody in this business has had one of those weeks. Sure. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
And so just really helping them realize, like, things aren't always going to go your way, but as long as you're putting the time in, as long as you're staying consistent, things will happen.
Awesome. Let me make sure I get this right, because it sounds like, honestly, amazing what you're doing, right? So what you're saying is you acquire a property, right? A distressed home that obviously fits the criteria for an end buyer that you have. And the way that you're getting them sold is you advertise the property on a Facebook market page for that respective city or state that you're in?
So that's where we gain access to our buyers, is through like investor groups on Facebook.
Got it.
So like that's where, I built up a buyers list of, thousands of people, is utilizing that platform.
So let me be
so like,
with you. I'm sorry to cut you off. I have a property that I'm working with one of our acquisition members right now in the Goya team. And we have a property locked in the city of OKC, Oklahoma City. Okay. And one of the things that I did last night was that prepping for this Zoom call that we were about to make, I wanted to really give this a shot because I'd never done that. Right. So I jumped in and I literally looked up all the wholesale / investor / anything real estate related to OKC, and I joined them. So in other words, am I supposed to go on there at that point and then advertise everything about the property, and then, hey, if you're a buyer, give me a call, shoot me a message, something like that? Or
Yeah. So I know that like it kind of, each state has their different laws. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, like here in Utah, you can't go and post it like on Zillow or the MLS or whatever. But usually like inside those Facebook groups, when I'm looking for an end buyer, it'll just be something super simple like, hey, I have a property in OKC, who's still buying?
Gotcha.
And then after that, like you'll get, however many comments. Most of the time, these investors are pretty active inside those groups. So I'll make that post for like 2 days straight. And usually everybody just leaves their email address. Sometimes they'll just say, hey, send me a direct message or leave their phone number. Cool. And then we'll start reaching out like that. And that's kind of how we
Okay.
Base it off of. So,
and then I cut you off. I think you were explaining your way of, after you grab your property and you acquire it, you then, depending on what state, right? You said Utah, you can't really market it heavily like that. So again, you do the engaging message on the Facebook post, and then you grab your buyers, and then you give them a call. You follow up with them at that point.
Yeah. So like we can like send out an email blast. And so like that in the beginning of this call, like I kind of touched on, the importance of building up a buyer's list.
Sure.
And utilizing these Facebook groups, like that's a really good way. So every time that someone leaves a comment with their email, take that, put it in your Excel sheet or wherever you store them. And then next time you get a deal, it automatically gets sent out with the rest.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So you have
and we choose like MailChimp to send those out. So
cool. Okay. And then you're doing this about a couple of hours a day, right? That's really all it takes. Yeah.
So, I mean, with the Facebook method, so like it really, I would say that in the beginning, it is a little bit slower just because like you don't have like a pipeline built up.
Sure.
But, after, 2 weeks, you have quite a few conversations that you've already had with people. And so then, you're following up. Like, I'll be honest, like rarely do we get someone that just raises their hand and say, hey, I'm selling my house today. It's like, hey, I have this house. Like my mom, she just passed away. So we're kind of just in those beginning stages. So yeah, man, like that's where, having a CRM, having a good follow-up like process put in place like that's when that becomes super important.
Cool. And last question for me, do you ever skip trace your buyers? Like, for example, I know for a while it was, you can do through batch leads or through PropStream. You can look up who were the investors that bought in that zip code for the past year. And then you skip trace the call. Do you ever do that?
The only time that I've ever done that is when we did a deal in Wyoming. Like Wyoming is just such a small, like this city if it has a population of 6,000 people, I'd be shocked. So it's definitely a small market.
Right.
But we just had the seller like, hey, I have to sell my dad's house. He just passed away. And I think that was the one time that I actually pulled a buyer's list from batch, actually.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we found, we did them and sold it. And I think we made like 40 grand on that deal.
Shit.
When was this? What was this pandemic era, post-pandemic? Like what?
So this one, I want to say it was probably November of 21.
That's still, dude, that's crazy. Well, no, 21 was still, the market was still going crazy. Yeah. You could get away with that rural deals. Was this a little bit more of this was rural if the population is 6,000, right?
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because right now we're staying away from the rural stuff just because.
There's parts of Idaho that we've kind of cut out just for that reason. But yeah, man, like that was just kind of a deal where someone reached out. They actually lived here in Utah, but they reached out like, hey, do you buy in Wyoming? And I was like, yeah, I buy in Wyoming.
That's how it happened. Yeah.
That's cool.
But it came from a Facebook group. So, and that's the thing. Like if you're, wholesaling in Oklahoma and, someone has their grandma's house and they lived in North Dakota. I mean, dude, hop on a Facebook group and start networking with people. Like Facebook is just such an underrated tool. Everybody talks about batch. They talk about cold calling. They talk about all these systems. It's like, dude, Facebook's free. Like,
yeah, true.
Why wouldn't you use it?
And to put things into perspective, I think we're spending anywhere between $2,500 to sometimes $3,000 a week on PPC with Facebook and Google Ads. So to think that you can just go and just add value, participate in conversations, respond, and post about this. Hey, is anybody selling? Like, it blows my mind, but it works. Clearly it's working.
Yeah. No, it's been great. And so like, if anybody, like if you guys are super interested, like in learning more about it, like I'd love to have you. And you know what, Paul, like I know, like I said, we normally would charge them $1,000 for it. And like right now we're running a special at 500, but Paul, like anybody that you think it would benefit from, let me know. And I'll take off an additional amount.
Cool. I appreciate
for you guys. So we can drop it down to like 250, something like that.
Dude, I'll let you know right after this call. And I'll post something in our group. And you're more than welcome. I'll invite you to our group too, so that you can participate in any of that discussion. Yeah,
let's do it, man. I'll just I'll create a discount code for your tribe, and we can get them up and rolling. So
sweet. Okay. All right, you guys. 11:23. Unless there's any other questions, I'm going to let everybody get back to work. I thought this was good. We were efficient with our time. You had me a little scared, Justin, at first. I wasn't sure if you were going to hop on.
Sorry, I don't know what. I don't know what happened. So.
I thought I was going to have to start dancing in front of the camera for a little bit. But anyway, all right. I appreciate you doing this for us. Thank you very, very much. Any additional questions, you guys, we can post in the Facebook group. I'll invite Justin to that group, and then we'll work on getting everybody a discount code to this, to his course, because it works. Again, this is how we met. Him doing the exact same thing. All right. Okay, you guys. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Let's
man.
get to work.
Yep. Thanks, Bob.
It's okay.